Welcome to Time of Death. This video is for informational purposes and in no way meant to glorify or condone violence. In today's video, we'll be discussing the murder of Aristides Antonio Ruiz. Ruiz was shot and killed on Tuesday, October 8, 2019, in the 900 block of Virgil Avenue in East Hollywood, according to LA County coroner records. Jason Alexis Flores was subsequently arrested and charged with the murder. The following is the evidence at trial. Defendant Flores was charged with the murder of victim Aristides Ruiz, a member of the gang La Mirada Locos who used a wheelchair. The prosecution showed surveillance video of a man approaching a gas station near the Silver Lake neighborhood of Los Angeles where the victim was talking to people. The man wore long baggy gray shorts with a black stripe, had a yellow metal ring in his hand, wore a satchel, and held a gun in his hand. The video shows the same man running back the way he came 3 minutes later. Surveillance video from a different vantage point shows the man crouching behind a white Scion at the gas station, partially covering his face, extending his arm, and shooting, hitting the victim twice. People at the gas station attempted to help the victim and called the police. Paramedics took the victim to the hospital where he died from the gunshot wounds. Detective Martinez, assigned to investigate the victim's murder, created a still image from the surveillance video. He showed the image to Officer Kenny Pintado to see if he could identify the shooter. Pintado, an officer on the gang enforcement detail in the Rampart division, thought he recognized the man. Officer Pintado reviewed his files on people he had stopped in the area of the murder and came across his file on defendant Flores. Officer Pintado had encountered defendant in a traffic stop about a year earlier. Defendant had been driving the car, and Officer Pintado stayed on the passenger side of the car for the 10 to 15 minute encounter. Defendant had said he was a member of a tagging group called BUD or BUDS, which stands for Blazing Up Daily, but he was no longer active. Defendant told the officer he had a large letter B tattooed on the top of his head and showed the officer that he had a BUD tattooed on his stomach. Officer Pintado had learned about BUDS from other officers in the gang enforcement detail and seen BUDS taggings but had not met any members before defendant. The officer stopped defendant in the general area he considered BUDS territory. Based on the boundaries of the two groups' territories, Pintado testified that La Mirada Locos would be a rival of BUDS, a contention confirmed by a conversation the officer had with a La Mirada Locos member. Before meeting defendant in person, Officer Pintado had seen defendant's rap music videos on his public YouTube account under his music name of JBoogie283. The numbers 2, 8, and 3 correlate to the letters BUD on a phone keypad. Officer Pintado monitored these videos as part of his duties for the gang enforcement detail because gang and tagging crew members sometimes reveal information in their music videos, either through the lyrics or through the cars, clothes, or weapons they show. In some of his videos, defendant makes the BUDS hand sign and shows his tattoos. In one music video, defendant raps, "Stay true to the B, that's all you're gonna see me be," which Officer Pintado testified showed allegiance to the crew and a commitment to stay active. When police arrested defendant, they found gray shorts with a black stripe and 2 yellow metal rings in his room. Police placed defendant in a cell with an undercover agent. Defendant told the agent he was a rapper, but when the agent said the risk of losing everything came with the rap game, defendant twice insisted, "Nah, it comes with the gang shit," and told the agent, "It's always harder for the real ones. It's easy for all these fake ass fools. Like fuck, you rapping about our lives." Defendant said he stayed in the San Fernando Valley, but his hood was in Los Angeles. A criminal intelligence analyst reviewed the phone records for phone numbers associated with defendant and his girlfriend from the day of the murder. The data showed both phones were in Sun Valley, where defendant lived, at around 2 p.m. About an hour later, defendant's phone began to move toward Los Angeles, eventually arriving in downtown. The phone then moved toward the location of the murder. About 15 minutes before the murder, defendant's phone pinged off a cell tower 0.3 miles from the murder. 10 minutes later, the cell phone pinged off a cell tower 0.2 miles away. A few minutes after the murder, the cell phone was 0.6 miles away. About an hour after the murder, defendant's phone was in the Glendale area, as was his girlfriend's phone. The two phones then appeared to travel together back to Sun Valley. Following the trial, the jury convicted Flores of first-degree murder. The jury found true that Flores had possessed a firearm as a felon, personally and intentionally discharged a firearm in the murder, and previously had been convicted of a serious felony. The court sentenced him to 75 years to life. Aristides Antonio Ruiz Jr. was 29 years old at the time of death.